So, part 2.
Anyone wants to read the description? Ooh.
Alright. Yeah, I remember like in school you used to hate reading out loud.
No,
I did. I loved it.
Right. Because you know how to read. As the jogger case, there's tensions nationwide. The families of the boys and their lawyers, wow, prepared.
She's been drinking.
Yes.
Random
For a bitter legal fight against the city of New York. So this was the episode where the boys first meet each other.
Yeah.
And then they have the trial.
Okay.
And the sentencing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, gang, how do you guys think the boys were feeling when they first met each other for the first time?
I think it put a face on the situation. Before, they were just names. You know, as these people, the officers were feeding them what to say, they were just saying names. And I think when they saw each other, they started to feel remorse and empathy for the other. Which is why I think it was Kevin's character who said, "I lied on you, man."
Yeah.
And they kind of just, I
Which
lied
one
on
was
you
the
too.
Spanish one? Was it
Raymond.
That was Raymond.
Raymond? I remember he is the most. I think they had like a really grown man playing him. I want to say, and I think that stood out. That stood out to me. But I remember when he came in there and he was, because at first I think he seemed like he was kind of mad when he was doing his confession when they told him that another boy lied on him.
Yeah.
Do y'all remember that part? And then
when that happened, he just started saying,
He was like, "Yeah, I think it was this person."
And he was seeming like, that's who it was. Yeah, I remember that part. But I remember when he finally met the other boys, he was looking like sorry. You know.
Yeah.
You can tell he felt really bad for it because he was going in.
Yeah. It made me realize. I mean, we know that they're kids, but when they were like apologizing to each other, it was like that's what kids do. Like, hey man, I'm sorry, I lied on him. It's like y'all are really doing this stuff to some kids.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite child in this episode?
Can we have more than one favorite?
Do number one favorite first, then number two. Mine was Yusuf in this episode. I thought Yusuf was very smart.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't like that.
I like Antron. I think in this second part, Antron, somehow, if I'm not mistaken, they ended up like pinning it to say that Antron was the one who actually penetrated.
I remember that.
And then because of his dad not being a part of the trial and everything, my heart really went out to him the most because, you know, his dad was in and out and wearing sunglasses. It was just too much.
Oh yeah, with the chain and
was
stuff.
just doing too much.
Haircut.
Yeah, so Antron was my favorite.
I think mine is between Antron and Kevin.
Yeah.
I think Kevin stood out to me because he was like the youngest.
Yeah.
And he had an older sister, and then it was his mom, and that just reminded me so much of like me, my mom, my brother. I just hate how his sister was like, "I'm not signing that. You did not do this." And my brother actually said, he was like, that probably would have been us if this was us growing up. I was like, but I wouldn't have signed it though. So between Kevin and Antron, that was my favorite. Yeah.
Kevin probably was mine because I guess just all the other guys were, and I know this is like superficial, but all the other guys were taller. Kevin was this little tiny.
Trumpet playing
with the big, gash on his eye, and I'm just like, oh my god, like he was just the most childlike of all of them, having to grow up in like 24 hours, and for no real reason. And then I know this doesn't show everything, but the documentary from a couple years ago, it shows you that Antron had a budding baseball career. Kevin was playing the trumpet. Yusuf was like a kid genius type, Raymond had, he was into music and was like really, really good at it. All these kids had, they had a different type of future for them, and just to see them sitting there, that first scene where they're sitting in that room with the holding cell, when it was like, oh, he's never gonna play baseball again.
Mhm.
Because part of me really was like, during the second episode, watching the trial, knowing what's to come, but something is gonna change.
Mhm.
Like, they're not gonna go to jail because, no, it's just not gonna happen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What was y'all's favorite scene in this part? I'll say mine then.
Yeah.
My favorite scene was Corey when he was testifying, and they wanted him to read his statement that they wrote and had him to sign, or I don't know if he wrote it or what. And he was just like so dramatic when he was saying, "I'm not reading this. I can't read." You know, I don't know. That was like really my favorite scene. I think it's when I first got teary eyed in this whole thing.
Wow.
It was.
Better than me.
Oh, you caught the first part?
Probably as soon as it came on.
Really?
When I saw When They See Us, I started crying.
Oh,
No.
shitty.
No, my favorite scene, I would say, oh wow, it just went away from my brain that fast. This is the second one. Come back.
Well, I'll do my
making
favorite.
jokes with you.
I'll do my favorite while you think,
Great.
Grandma.
Wow.
Mine was, I think, kind of like a mix of one of the trial scenes where the DNA came back, and then the testimony from the jogger, which were clear cut. Like, there's no way this happened with these kids because there's no linkage, that it does not connect.
Mm-hmm.
And I really was sitting here like, they're not gonna convict him.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't be necessarily a favorite scene, but it was one of my like turning moment scenes. Like, it's not gonna happen now.
Right.
I know for a fact now. I knew it was gonna happen, but I know it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know.
Okay, it came back to me. My favorite scene was when they were meeting with their attorneys, and they were trying to decide whether they should take the settlement and just do a little bit of time in jail and then just be out.
Mm-hmm.
And when the boys decided for themselves, like, we didn't do this, we're not going to confess to doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was definitely one of my favorite scenes. My least favorite part is when they were showing the testimonies or the confession tapes,
Yeah.
and it's very clear that they were altered.
Yeah.
Yes.
And choppy.
I
That
love
they still use that, and the lawyers of the boys didn't even combat it.
I was gonna ask y'all that. Do y'all think that the lawyers believe them? The lawyers and their parents, do y'all think they believe that the boys didn't do it?
I think their parents believe them. I think, what's that lawyer name?
That was Antron's lawyer. I can't remember his
I
name.
think Antron's lawyer believed them.
Yeah.
I don't know about the other lawyers. Like,
That the Latino.
Yeah.
and then the other lawyer, he was a divorce.
He was a divorce attorney.
Yeah, the one that played the Tyler Perry movie.
Yeah, he was just making his way.
He's like, I'm just
trying to survive. You're just trying to make it. Yeah, no, it was really, really sad that they couldn't bring a more believable case because, like, there were just so many holes in it that really should have been brought out to show, like, this is a problem. This is not true. This is, these confession tapes. I think they did try to say, like, these confession tapes can't even be used because.
I tried to look over.
Stop, hurry, guys. It has a timer.
These confession tapes can't be used because of how they were given.
Yeah.
The children's rights were not recognized or given to them. Even if those kids signed a waiver, they're not of legal age to sign a waiver. So how did that stand? Like, that pisses me off so much.
Do y'all remember when Yusuf, I think he had a fake ID, but they knew it was fake?
Yeah.
And then his mother was like, he's not even 16. It was like, well, this ID says 16 or something like that. And they knew. I was like, what the? That's so crazy.
It's the NYPD.
Yeah. Or
Just any police.
Just
But they're the big bad. Well, no one makes TV shows about Clinton police, but and wins awards. But But it's, it was NYPD. Like, we don't go up against them because they're corrupt, and that's just the way life is.
Did y'all see I'm sure you did, because you said you watched the other documentaries, but they had, or if you go on YouTube, you can pull up Corey's original confession tape. Did y'all see it? Didn't it look like if you were there, you would see, it's obvious that he's not meaning anything of what he's saying. Really?
All of them were like that. It was, they were asking questions like, weren't you the one that held her down? And weren't you the one that did this? I mean, they were asking leading questions, like trying to get a specific answer. Like,
so the rest of them were like fidgety and stuff like Corey was.
And like, yeah. So what happened next? Oh, I went to the lake.
Oh no! I didn't go to the lake. I mean, I went to the
right.
For real?
Yeah, but didn't you go down the path at this time? Oh yeah, that's right. Before I did that, I went down the path. Yeah, that's right. That's how all of them were.
Wow.
That's why when they brought it to court, and I think it was Antron's lawyer that was like, you're gonna really present these doctor tapes in court, where it was just this scene cut to this scene cut to this one, and it's like you doctored this. You cut it so bad.
And it shouldn't have been entered as evidence. I would have, and I'm not an attorney, but I totally would have thought that those could not be entered because the proper protocols not followed in obtaining those confessions. But I mean, I think it had a lot to do with the judge as well that was sitting on the bench. They talked about him and how he was racist at the time. So
got out all at the same time.
Yeah.
Sure.
So when the camera cut off, they got into a conversation about Raymond and his father and the father's wife. So you guys can continue that conversation.
Basically, we were just saying how Raymond's dad, as did not have a spine. He does not have a backbone. He allowed his wife to just, I don't know if I can use the word disrespect.
Yes.
But she disrespected him. She like really disrespected him. And I feel like maybe he did know that his son did not commit that crime, but he should have had a conversation with his wife, like, hey, my son's getting out of jail. He's been falsely accused of the situation that happened in Central Park. He's coming home. But none of that took place. Like, Raymond came home. She was looking at him crazy.
The kids was in his room. He had no place to sleep. It's like, what?
He had no privacy.
All the kids climbing all over the furniture. Yeah, that was really bad. And I think that highlighted something else. Not only did Raymond's, I guess, stepmother think that he did it, and we talked some about not thinking that Raymond's dad believed that he was innocent, but Raymond's dad shouldn't have had to have that conversation with that woman because it was everywhere. It was on every news station. Everybody was following it. But what that showed us is those people in the community didn't really even believe that these boys didn't do it. Like, think about Antron's girlfriend.
Yeah, the girlfriend,
She called him a rapist, and I know she was angry. But she called him that.
She couldn't go out to eat certain places.
And he just got out of jail.
He was trying to save his money.
Yeah.
Not like he was making a lot.
Yeah, wasn't he like
they worked at the same place. They worked at the same place. So
you talked about community.
Yeah.
I gotta give it to Kevin's community. Because his sister, there was a scene, I think it was the third episode, maybe the second, I don't know. But she comes to the jail, she's talking, she's like, you gotta find something to look forward to. And even when he came out, his sister, his mother, his family were still there for him. I feel like at least the portrayal of Kevin's community was stronger than everybody else's.
Yeah.
And I like that. Like, kudos to,
Well, that's his family. I meant like the broader community.
I know what you mean.
They only had like a few people. And the woman and the man.
That's what I'm thinking about.
But then when you think about that in light of today, like, I wonder how many issues are going on in Jackson where they're having rallies in support of, because when the community does all come around and we're, standing outside and we're not letting go and we're outside of the courthouse and we, writing letters to the legislators and things like that, then cases do go a different way. But I think it was like a hype thing. It was like they were there for a second, the community, and then they fell off and just let the boys serve all this time. They get this case overturned because community members were out there like, let them out.
Yeah.
They got it overturned because they reviewed the case and clearly there was no evidence.
And because you had a testimony.
And you're probably about to say what I think.
No, say what you gonna say.
You know that in order for them to go for parole, they had to admit to something that they did not do.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I didn't know that.
I make it for it so much.
Yeah.
Man,
I didn't do it.
Every time they came, yep, he's like,
I ain't even going no more.
Yeah,
I didn't do it.
And he literally went to the jail to be with his friend.
Yes.
yeah, he was there for support.
I thought about how he had the girlfriend before.
Yeah.
I wish they could have
How
like
about that scene?
rekindled.
Was that? No, okay, so that's in part 4.
That was
Okay, I was like, I was crying. Like, my pillow was wet with tears on this thing, but we'll get there. But in this same part, in part 3, one thing that stood out to me was when Raymond got out and he was trying to find a job, y'all.
Yeah.
And let's just talk about how corrupt the system is as far as like how they want them to go back and do the same. It's set up for them to do the same thing.
You cannot get a job anywhere, so you resort to the only way you can, which is which is selling drugs or pimping some girls out or even selling yourself. The illegal things. So you end up right back in jail. I mean, the recidivism rates are, I think, pretty consistent over the years. They're not going to change because they're going to keep cycling these guys back into prison. They have no choice. They don't have a choice.
Because look at how it's set up. It's set up as they went to jail for rape. So they're going to have to check I'm a sex offender on every job application. I'm going to have to check off I'm a felon on every job application. How many jobs are going to hire somebody?
I didn't graduate
and a convicted felon. No one's going to hire them. So I got to give it up to Raymond because he kept trying to find a job. And I noticed, I just knew when he kept passing by the guys that was selling the dope and stuff, I just knew he was like tempted a little bit. But honestly, y'all, I didn't even I wasn't too mad at him for going into that lifestyle.
What else was he gonna do?
He was in a box at home. He was in a box at any type of job that he could have got. And this is supposed to be his freedom.
He was ready to enjoy his life with his girlfriend and do all the things he was robbed of.
I think all of them were robbed of just to be able to be silly and immature and carefree.
Right, they came out and it was down to business, and then business was like closed for them all the time.
And you notice when Yusef and Kevin went to the
that group,
and how she treated them. I'm just like,
group.
The help was it like the help group or the group that they have to go to?
Yeah, it was something they had to go to.
Can't remember.
For their
because they're sex offenders, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And
she wanted them out.
She wanted them to admit to something that once again they did not do, and they refused.
I do remember that.
Our local celebrities or whatever people were calling them, like.
So what about? I guess we can get into part 4. Do y'all have a favorite scene from part 3?
I liked seeing Raymond with his girlfriend.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, a part of me didn't because, but
why Julie?
because he was fine. No, but I definitely like seeing that because I feel like he's a go-getter and he really hustled hard. He did what he needed to do to be in that relationship and to make money and to help his family. He didn't just go out and splurge. He came back with shoes for his little siblings that he didn't even know, with a mother who was very disrespectful to him. And the way she repaid him, the stuff she was saying to him was just crazy. So I definitely enjoy seeing Raymond kind of see his life turn around up until hands on the ground. That scene where he had to go back to jail, that was the downfall of it, but for the time being when he was enjoying that, I like that.
I think my favorite, well, not favorite, I guess it was a favorite scene. Antron with his dad. I mean, we know that throughout all this process, even to this day, he's like, my dad's dead, but I never forgave him. I have nothing for that man. And his dad, in his dying days, or however long it was, he physically needed his son. And his son picked him up and put him back in the bed. And it kind of gave you a spark, like, well, maybe there can be some reconciliation. Because even that grown man was like, I don't know how to apologize to my son for, because just as Antron was like, my dad's the reason I'm here. His dad probably was feeling like I'm the reason that Antron is locked up.
Because he was.
And was.
But we've already talked about that, okay.
God rest his soul.
Or whatever.
I guess we can get to the final part, you guys, which is my favorite part 4. Corey has a special place in my heart. Seriously.
We know.
Kim is like cracking up over here. I love Corey. I want to follow him on Instagram and everything.
I do follow him.
I definitely follow him on.
I did.
Like all his pictures.
All of them, but yeah. Corey's
Yeah, when he was like, when he got, I think they let him talk first. Yeah.
I follow the real ones and the
suit on.
Because you notice that every time they're out in the public, Corey's the only one that's dressed
Yeah,
down.
he was just so nice at the awards.
Corey is like just he chill.
Yeah. He be fly though. His,
But you know what?
His casual clothes.
Yeah, you know he matchy.
Yeah.
Everything got to coordinate.
Corey.
You was at Corey.
Corey.
That's the real
But I feel like he never really had a chance to do that.
Yeah.
As a teenager, as a young
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, that's it.
So
His line is his Evie.
yes.
Okay.
Corey.
Someone want to tell us about part 4?
At age 16, Corey begins a brutal journey through the adult prison system. A shocking turn of events reveals the truth of the crime long ignored.
Woo, y'all. This was an emotional part for me.
Yeah.
Chance. You're not gonna let me be great.
Yeah.
Knowing what we know about like what goes on in prison,
Yeah.
I feel like even the depiction still didn't do it justice.
No, I know. I got a feeling he got raped.
I do too.
Yeah.
They gave that. They gave us that.
They didn't show
No,
he got raped.
they
He got beat up.
got beat up.
They gave us that.
The
I
rape?
got that a lot.
What?
You got that at all?
From
Several
the
times.
the
The
PO.
favors they kept asking for?
Yeah.
They be, no. Oh, they
They
was giving you that.
insinuated
Yeah.
Very much
when they
so.
would take him and you couldn't see, and then they cut to the next scene. It was insinuated.
All of those were.
It was insinuated that
When he was in the
Really? Y'all got that from me?
Yes.
Ma'am.
I was here thinking like, damn, they trying to keep it G and not, you know.
Well,
not
no, we
make-
saw